Tonight, Middle Eastern escalation. Violence breaking out between the U.S. and Iran, sparking retaliation and hopes for change.
This is what we want, and they were willing to risk their lives to get to this freedom.
Plus, uncertain futures at Fanshawe.
I'm given to believe that all of the people who currently have jobs are simply moving. I'm also given to believe that a lot of those programs are probably in a precarious position.
Parsing the potential impact of closing the South London campus. And one marathon after another. The Stratford man and his 250-kilometer mission inspired by a loved one's cancer fight.
CTV News with Carlyle Fiset.
Good evening. Thanks for joining us. We begin tonight with a warning from President Donald Trump of bigger strikes to come as the American and Israeli armed forces target Iran. Iranian forces have retaliated, launching missiles at Arab states and U.S. bases. With the latest, here's Adrian Gobriel.
Unrelenting and punishing, just 3 days into this U.S.-Israeli-led military campaign against Iran, and the number of countries being pulled into this war is growing. Blasts echoed across Beirut today, Israel's military confirming it struck Hezbollah targets in Lebanon after the Iranian-backed group says it launched rockets and drones of their own into the Israeli city of Haifa. Visiting the site of a missile strike on a synagogue west of Jerusalem, where at least 9 people were killed, Israel's prime minister says he warned the world that Iran was capable of attacking Western allies.
I stand here in a place that was bombarded by the terrorists in Tehran against innocent civilians. You see the difference. The tyrants of Tehran target civilians. We target the tyrants of Tehran to protect civilians.
Though inside Iran, Red Crescent workers there say more than 500 people have been killed, including children, who died here following an airstrike that struck a school. In the early morning hours, multiple flashes can be seen in the sky as a drone strike hits a British Royal Air Force base in Cyprus. This coming just as the U.S. has been granted permission to use British military bases for defensive strikes on Iranian missile sites. In Kuwait, a U.S. fighter jet is seen spiraling to the ground, one of 3 American F-15s shot out of the sky following a friendly fire incident. An oil refinery in Saudi Arabia was shut down today after it was hit by an Iranian drone. Iran's newly formed Leadership Council says it won't negotiate with the U.S. administration as the war widens its reach.
But this is war.
Istanbul University political science professor Kivak Yusaloy says many in the region are still waiting for Israel and the United States to present a credible case for setting off this war with Iran.
Turkish government nowadays does not want to be seen siding with Israel in an attack against Iran, an unjustified attack, by the way. A lack of public diplomacy in all senses, from the side of U.S. and from the side of Israel.
While over 1,000 targets have been hit across Iran, Israel has argued that this was a preemptive attack. The only certainty, this full-scale war is escalating at an alarming rate.
Here in Turkey, President Tayyip Erdogan has called the attacks on Iran a clear violation of international law. Adrian Gobriel, CTV News, Istanbul.
Meanwhile, Iranians living here in London say despite the death and violence, they are optimistic. In fact, as Sean Irvin reports, they're celebrating over the prospect of a regime change.
As military action continues against targets in Iran, this couple is celebrating what they view as the lead up to freedom for a country they called home until 15 years ago.
People don't look at this intervention. People don't look at the missiles coming down from the skies as a threat. This is a liberation for them.
The pair have been fortunate to reach family and friends over the last few days. Most remain in hiding, awaiting word that it is safe to go out into the streets to reclaim their nation. But they are still willing to take risks to share their message in support of the strikes.
Just please tell the world that this is what we want, and they were willing to risk their lives to get to this freedom.
The Londoners, who have organized anti-Iranian regime rallies for several years, believe the attacks will not lead to a prolonged conflict or civil war, as it did in Iraq, Libya, or Syria. Instead, they believe Iran will emerge unified, given its long history as a nation before the 1979 revolution.
This path that we are going, I am pretty sure we're going to go to the free and secular democracy.
Both support the return of the exiled Crown Prince of Iran to oversee the transition.
They have been calling unified for one name, and that name is Crown Prince Reza Pahlavi.
But for now, the pair joins the chorus of those praising the actions of the United States and Israel.
And people forever be grateful for President Trump and for Prime Minister Netanyahu for their help.
The pair also thanks Londoners for showing their support, but in the same breath asks for them to wait for a change before they consider reaching for their pockets.
A day first after the regime collapse, we would love to see your donations arrive because a lot of people are going to need that.
In London, Sean Irvin, CTV News.
Good evening. After a cold start to the day, lots of sunshine, beautiful conditions, but temperatures holding below the freezing mark through the afternoon. We're sitting at our high for the day, -3. Just north of London, -4 to -5, and factoring in a bit of a wind chill, feeling close to -8 to -10. Skies will be clear tonight. We'll have a few fair weather clouds towards the Bruce Peninsula, but conditions will remain nice and quiet out there. The temperature will start to drop off. It's going to get a bit cold out there tonight for sure. We'll be dropping to about -7 by midnight, and the overnight low -9, with the wind chill close to about -12. A low pressure system passing by to the south tomorrow will kick up enough moisture to bring the risk of a rain-snow mix and the possibility of some light freezing rain in parts of our region. We'll talk about that, plus a real taste of spring on the 7-day. I'll take you through all your local details coming up in just a few minutes. Carlyle?
Thanks, Julie. An emergency response today to a Wortley Village building home to London's most expensive condo. The building is on Wortley Road just north of Craig Street. Residents reported smoke in the upper level unit this morning, which brought in fire crews. They say the issue appeared to be electrical. According to fire officials, the property was built in 2017 and contains extensive smart home infrastructure. The condo in question covers the entire 3rd floor and recently sold for about $2.25 million, the highest price ever paid for a London condo.
It took a while for us to overhaul, rip apart the floor and gain access to where the fire was. We had lots of saws and fans involved in getting access to this fire.
Officials with York Developments have sent a letter to City Council trying to mitigate concerns about their controversial application to build a 30-story high-rise in the North Talbot neighborhood. Daryl Newcomb has more on the eve of Tuesday's vote.
York Developments providing new details about its plan to replace these old apartments on Rideout in Kent with a 30-story high-rise. But a letter sent to council members last week doesn't go far enough for downtown councillor David Ferreira.
I like how I see some movement here on that regard, but at the same time, it's not enough to tip my vote.
The letter by the president of York Developments, Ali Soufan, promises existing tenants in good standing, quote, relocation compensation of $10,000 per residential unit, substantially exceeding the statutory minimum, or relocation of qualified tenants to one of our similarly affordable units in the nearby downtown core, southwest London, or northwest London. However, Ferreira says tearing down the building still reduces the city's overall stock of affordably priced private market apartments, and a $10,000 payment could be quickly used up between moving expenses and higher rents if a tenant chooses to sign a lease elsewhere.
We still have a very low vacancy rate when it comes to the affordable housing. So we will still be losing affordable housing in that regard. I think it would be better if we saw a temporary relocation.
Soufan's letter also offers to create a small park on York Development's property across the street to address concerns about insufficient green space in the redevelopment plan. The letter goes on to commit that if council approves the application, that York Developments intends to almost immediately begin the site plan process with the intent of pulling permits and beginning work on the site early next year. The 30-story building would be permitted across the road, which is within the downtown planning district, but the maximum height on the site in Woodfield would be 18 stories. Ferreira emphasizes that for that and other reasons, the planning report by city staff recommended against approving the application.
When it comes to planning perspective alone, this is not constituting good planning, as it says in the report, and it is not in the public's interest, as it says in the report.
Council will consider the Planning Committee's recommendation to approve the high-rise at its meeting on Tuesday. Daryl Newcomb, CTV News.
Provincial police say 2 people were taken to hospital after a serious crash in Elgin County this morning. Emergency responders say a pickup truck and a car were involved around 7:30 this morning. Police say both drivers were taken to hospital with non-life-threatening injuries. One of them is a 59-year-old, the other 21 years old. The road was closed for several hours during the police investigation, reopening early this afternoon. Canadian border agents say they seized more than 110 kilograms of cocaine at the Blue Water Bridge. They released these images saying the drugs were inside a commercial truck which was inspected last month. They say 2 people were arrested and charged with importing and trafficking drugs. Local police say they've charged 5 people after drug raids in St. Thomas and London. They say they carried out a search warrant at a home in St. Thomas last Thursday where they seized various drugs, weapons and cash. London police say they executed a simultaneous warrant where they found drugs, cash and 2 vehicles. Police say there's also a 6th suspect they're still looking for related to this investigation. Uncertainty among Fanshawe College faculty over the pending closure of the South London campus. At this point, they say they still don't know just how many positions will be impacted. With more on the upcoming changes, here's Brian Bicknell.
It's a school day at the Fanshawe College South London campus, but you might not know it. Practically no comings and goings, and the parking lot is nearly empty. How many students do you think are left here?
Probably around 200, I guess. Before it was completely packed, now the classes are empty.
Fanshawe has confirmed it's relocating all academic programs at this site to the main campus on Oxford Street East and the Simcoe Norfolk Regional Campus. Malley wraps up his program next month, but he believes it will be a positive move for those still enrolled.
It might be better opportunity for the students that they don't have to commute to the south end of the city, because I travel from east end of the city over here. So it was quite disturbing for me as well, but now they are moving to the main campus, so that's probably good for them.
The affected programs include agribusiness, the only one moving to Simcoe Norfolk, along with business and information, healthcare admin, and information technology infrastructure, the latter 3 moving to the main campus. The campus at 1060 Wellington was formerly Westerville College, but it left the site in 2017. Fanshawe moved in 2019 to accommodate what was then a major growth in international students. Fanshawe says the decision to close the campus is a cost-saving move as the school tackles a deficit brought on by a 53% decline in international enrollment in 1 year.
And it's really all part of the college's wider efforts to be able to optimize and to consolidate all of our spaces as much as possible in order to address some of the financial challenges that the college is facing right now.
The union representing faculty says it's not clear how many positions will be affected, at least in the long term.
I'm given to believe that all of the people who currently have jobs are simply moving. I'm also given to believe that a lot of those programs are probably in a precarious position, right? Because that location, as I said, was mostly serving international students, and a lot of those students now are gone.
The relocation of programs takes effect September 1st. Brian Bicknell, CTV News.
Post-secondary students rallied this weekend, protesting the provincial government's changes to student financial assistance. With more on their concerns, here's Lauren Stallone.
AKA the Premier of Ontario is defunding our education system. Western University students are expressing their disappointment over Ontario's cuts to OSAP grants as the province also lifts a long-standing tuition fee freeze.
I think it's stupid.
The province announced it will decrease the proportion of grants offered through the Ontario Student Assistance Program from 85% of funding to a maximum of 25%.
Students had a pretty fair chance, even if they were middle income, to receive some amount of funding, but now students who are lower income and even middle class are looking at such a disproportionate way of money given back to them.
Students say they are concerned about the future of affordable education.
It is a great injustice to all the students in Ontario and who need to pay more money over the next few years, who are relying on these grants and need these grants. I have friends who are from out of town and international students, of course, who will not be able to continue their years at Western.
I would say I feel a lot of anxiety for the future and my financial future as well.
Students are calling for a complete reversal of the proposed changes.
There should be meaningful consultation with students regarding changes to the OSAP and their financial funding.
It's unfair that only rich people get to have educations when poor people could be just as smart or whatever but don't need or can't afford it.
The changes to OSAP will go into effect for the next school year. Lauren Stallone, CTV News.
Lane restrictions are now in place on the Queen's Bridge. A refurbishment is underway, which includes a new bridge deck and barrier walls. The bridge is one way with 2 lanes, and according to city staff, at least one of those lanes will be closed for most of the project, and there will be times when both lanes are closed. They say it's expected to take about 15 months at a cost of about $10 million. The bridge is a little more than 50 years old, and it's hoped these upgrades will extend its life at least another 50 years. Hundreds of people gathered at RBC Place today celebrating local women in leadership. With more on the event just ahead of International Women's Day, here's Rita Ismail.
Are you ready?
The energy was high inside RBC Place in London as the 7th annual All Women Lead celebration marked International Women's Day. Organizers say the event was initially created to fill a gap in the community.
We wanted a place where we could have real conversations about what it meant to be a woman who leads. And so we built something that we wanted. The possibility that leading doesn't need to look like it's always looked, and that we can actually lead in a way that feels authentic and true.
This year's celebration introduced the first ever She Leads Awards, recognizing women across southwestern Ontario who are transforming their businesses, organizations, and communities. Attendees also heard from 3 keynote speakers described as trailblazers.
They are ceiling breakers. Glass ceiling breakers. They have done phenomenal things in their lives and their careers, and I think they're wonderful mentors and role models for all of the people that are going to be here today to see them speak.
One of those speakers was the Honorable Marcy Ian.
I get to share that in a lot of the rooms that I was in, whether it was broadcasting or politics, I was one of one or one of 2. So I was very aware about opening a door, not just opening it, but keeping it open.
This year's theme, The Future is Now, encouraged women to take action.
We don't have to think about, well, in 5 years, in 10 years, maybe. No, let's do it now. Why not? Put the people you need around you, and go for it.
Organizers say they hope the momentum generated by the event continues well beyond International Women's Day. Rita Ismail, CTV News.
When we come back, the major takeaways from a trade trip to India. Canadian uranium, potentially a key commodity in the future. Plus, from Stratford to Tobermory, one step at a time. Husband's marathon mission supporting his wife's cancer battle.
Download the CTV News app and stay on top of local stories as they unfold.
We begin tonight with Ontario's
Customize your feed and watch live wherever you are. CTVLondon.ca, your home for news.
Welcome back. Mark Carney has wrapped up his visit to India, traveling next to Australia. The Prime Minister says he and his Indian counterpart have agreed to sign an economic partnership by the end of the year. Abigail Beeman reports.
Prime Ministers Mark Carney and Narendra Modi launch a new phase of the Canada-India relationship, and Carney invited Modi to visit Canada.
There has been more engagement between the Canadian and Indian governments in the last year than there has been in more than 2 decades combined.
We will turn ideas into global solutions.
Announcing 5 memorandums of understanding on energy and AI and 10 commercial deals, including a highly anticipated $2.6 billion deal to sell uranium from Saskatchewan to India.
It's going to be good for the electricity outbuild here in India, as well as good for the economy and good for, in particular, northern Saskatchewan and Canada, I would say, as well.
The pair committed to finalizing a new broad trade deal by the end of the year.
Business loves certainty, and particularly at a time like this where uncertainty is rampant, trade agreements give us some confidence that we can invest in each other's countries.
Carney has not taken any questions since a government official suggested Wednesday India was no longer actively carrying out foreign interference or transnational repression, and canceled the first media availability of the trip today, blaming scheduling. The Foreign Affairs Minister for the first time gave a clearer assessment of the comments.
The words of the senior official are not words that I personally would use. I agree with his comments relating to the guardrails that we have in place.
But the bilateral relationship has become so warm, Canada welcomed Indian government officials, including the High Commissioner, onto the Prime Minister's plane from Mumbai to New Delhi. Carney's office said Modi accepted the invitation, but there's no timeline for a visit to Canada. Abigail Beeman, CTV News, New Delhi.
Swedish fighter jets are now on duty patrolling Icelandic airspace. It's a major step for Sweden's military less than 2 years after the country joined NATO. And as Genevieve Boschman reports, it's an opportunity to show off the aircraft to potential Canadian buyers.
The Swedish Air Force is on a milestone mission, taking on lead air policing duties over Iceland for the very first time. The plan was to lower the ramp of its Hercules transport plane, to give the press a look, showing off its Gripen fighter jets in action. But poor weather scrapped that air-to-air operation, making it too risky for a peacetime maneuver.
It's really gusting.
Lieutenant Colonel Robin Arvidsson is a Swedish fighter pilot and squadron commander.
But some days it's just too windy to fly, and it's not because the aircraft can't handle it in the air. It's because if we have to eject, we don't want to hurt ourselves.
Sweden's Saab, maker of the Gripen, has been courting Canada, hoping to land a contract. Last year, Ottawa launched a review of its deal to purchase F-35s from U.S. manufacturer Lockheed Martin, and several defense experts argue that advanced fighter is best suited to defend Canada. The Swedish Air Force says the Gripen is built for this mission, a frequent flyer in the north.
Since the Gripen is designed by a Swedish company, of course, the climate is no problem. And Canada also has harsh climate sometimes.
And the Swedish Air Force, marking a century this year, is training to show its fighter jets and its operations as a whole fit in with its NATO allies.
We have prepared for 98 out of the 100 years to defend Sweden, of course, but to do it alone and do it from Swedish territory, and that is becoming more and more difficult task.
For both Sweden and Canada, allies are key to defend the region from Russia's Arctic ambitions and China's increasing interest in the region. Sweden's rotation in Iceland is expected to stretch into mid-March, and Canada's decision on its fleet of fighter jets, well, we don't know when that decision will come. Genevieve Boschman, CTV News, in the skies over Iceland.
A Perth County man is in training mode, preparing to run a series of marathons, honoring his wife, who's in the middle of a cancer battle. Scott Miller reports.
Sam Simon's wife was recently diagnosed with stage 4 terminal cancer. Running has helped him deal with the diagnosis.
So I go through a lot of emotions, from anger to sadness to worry, and selfishly the running is helping a little bit with that. But yeah, it's just, no one should have to go through this.
Simon is now doing more than just running off his emotions. He's actually training for a fundraising marathon from Stratford to Tobermory to honor his wife, who he calls the bravest person he knows.
I'm running 251 kilometers from our front door here in Stratford through the Bruce Peninsula, ending in Tobermory. And I'm doing this run 100% for charity. My wife has terminal cancer, and the Bruce Peninsula is a very special place for her. Her family has a cottage there, and that's her fondest memories are there.
The 57-year-old wasn't an avid runner before his wife's diagnosis, but has been running 70 to 80 kilometers a week in preparation for his 251-kilometer journey, which will leave his Stratford home on May 11th.
I'm not a professional runner by any means. I have a running coach and a strength and conditioning coach, and this run is giving selfishly a little bit of me to grab onto, and we're raising money for 3 wonderful charities.
The Stratford General Hospital, Wellsprings Stratford Cancer Centre, and London Health Sciences Centre Cancer Program will be the beneficiaries of Simon's physical feat. He's raised over $11,000 so far.
I'm putting in a lot of, as they say, time on feet, and I'm getting the miles in, so I'll be ready to go.
Simon expects his charity run to last about 7 days. In Stratford, Scott Miller, CTV News.
On the desk now with Julie Atchison, and I know if we are looking longer term on this forecast, there are some really positive temperatures. I know you're not one to get too far ahead of yourself here when it comes to that kind of talk, but I'm excited for fake spring, the real one that might be on its way.
Yes, well, meteorological spring arrived March 1st, so you're right. We are expecting some milder conditions, and wait to see the weekend. We're expecting temperatures to climb into the double digits, so it's going to be beautiful. You're right, forecast models are indicating, Carlyle, the temperatures are expected to warm up and quickly. -3 are high today, -13 are low, so coming in a bit below normal, both our high and low temperature. It's going to be cold out there tonight, dropping to -9. Satellite radar showing a little bit of light snow just north of the Bruce Peninsula. Heading through the overnight, we'll see a few fair weather clouds, but not expecting anything significant. We do have low pressure off to the south, and this will play a key role in our forecast as we head into tomorrow. So what's going to happen tomorrow is we will see a warm front slowly start to lift northward. That warm air will start to come into southern Ontario, and with the cold air at the surface to start that warmth building, could bring a little bit of light freezing rain tomorrow mid-morning, anytime after about 10 to 11 a.m. There's also the risk for a wintry mix, so could see a little bit of rain mixing in, possibility of some snow. Areas that will likely see precipitation will be just east of London, so in and around Haldimand and Norfolk, and towards the Niagara area, expecting more measurable. So we're going to take a look at that forecast model in just a second. As we look across Canada today, it was really a beautiful day from coast to coast. No major warnings in effect other than cold weather warnings across the northern part of the prairie, with wind chills close to about -40. But the southern part of the prairies, as you can see, temperatures have warmed significantly. So that's where that polar jet lies. So you can see that cold air remaining bottled up to the north. It is a cold night in the Maritimes tonight. Temperatures dropping down right now, sitting at -11. As we take a look at the next 24 hours, so the pink, that's the freezing, and that's the potential for a little bit of light freezing rain. So you can see how scattered and spotty that is. So that's at 9 a.m. So there is the potential of that just south and east of London. And then as we head through the mid-morning, there's a little patch that comes over London, likely at around 11. By noon hour, that kind of pushes off to the east, and you can see that mixing in with some snow expected towards Toronto. Now, by the afternoon, just expecting it cloudy. North of London, this is not a high impact storm for you by any means. This is just a weak low pressure area that will be moving through the Ohio Valley. So there'll be breaks of sunshine in the morning, especially through northern areas of Huron, Perth, and Grey and Bruce. I mentioned the temperatures dropping off tonight between about -6 and -11, and there will be a bit of a wind chill. Your Tuesday forecast breaks early. The temperature starts to come up near the freezing mark by about noon hour, and then we'll hit 3 in the afternoon. So there will be a risk for mixed precipitation through the day, and the winds will be out of the southeast. As we head into your Wednesday, cloudy and +5. We have rain in the forecast on Thursday, but we're going to hit 8 degrees, so extremely mild this week. By Friday, mainly cloudy and 11. Friday night, we have some rain on the way, and then showers in the forecast on Saturday, 13. 11 degrees on Sunday. 14 degrees on Monday. This is the weekend where we spring forward, and that means everything's going to be changing. So yes, that's an exciting time for many. Fresh start perhaps for some. 3 degrees as we head into tomorrow in Midwestern Ontario. Cloudy with sunny breaks. Note your probability is much less than areas to the south. As we head into Wednesday, a mix of sun and cloud and 4, and then rain in the forecast as we head into Thursday. Friday, we've got a break. Extremely mild. Friday's going to be a beautiful day. That'll be 2 Fridays in a row where we've had some nice weather. Friday night, some rain, and then rain in the forecast on Saturday. But we're headed in the right direction, Carlyle. Daytime highs from 10 to 12 degrees. Really a taste of spring-like conditions on the 7-day. And of course, we'll be talking about springing forward, I'm sure, all week. I'll keep reminding you so you don't forget.
All right, Julie, thanks for that, and thanks very much. Coming up, a bumper crop in Brazil. What that means for coffee prices this season.
Pure Country 93 wants to send you to Sandals South Coast in Jamaica. We're giving away an all-inclusive Caribbean vacation for 2 every weekday. Listen for your chance to win. Pure Country Passport with Sandals Resorts. Get closer to the Caribbean.
Oil prices are surging as the Middle East conflict expands. The global benchmark for the price of oil jumped by 10%, reaching more than $82 a barrel today. Natural gas prices have also risen as much as 25%. Iranian officials have also warned about passing through a major shipping route where about 20% of the world's oil and gas is shipped. And analysts say if the Iranians disrupt tanker traffic, could send the price of oil higher than $90 a barrel. The cost of coffee is expected to drop as Brazilian producers forecast a record crop this year. With more on the impact for Canadian coffee drinkers, here's Alison Bamford.
This Saskatoon coffee shop is trying to strike the perfect blend when it comes to the increasing costs of its main ingredient.
We have tried to absorb some of those costs ourselves versus passing them on to the consumer.
Global coffee prices have soared over the last couple of years. Recent Statistics Canada data shows the average retail price of coffee is up 30% year over year, largely driven by climate change and bad weather hurting crops in major coffee-producing countries. Even with marginal increases to menu prices, coffee shops have noticed loyal customers cutting back.
Typically, our customers that would maybe come in that sort of 4 to 5 days a week have now maybe been a little bit more conscious with their efforts.
But relief may be brewing. Brazil, the world's largest coffee producer, is forecasting a record crop this upcoming season.
Over the next few months, we should start seeing some price relief in the coffee market.
Relief for consumers will most likely be felt at the grocery store, where a price jolt hit the hardest. Not so much at coffee shops that ate most of the cost.
While we may see some price adjustments in those environments, what this will largely do is allow them to recover some of their margins and perhaps improve their viability.
Cafe Del Rey opened 3 years ago, and the owner hopes to continue the grind.
The forecast is good for us, but the challenges are always on their way as well.
A constant balancing act for the business, managing operating costs without compromising quality. Alison Bamford, CTV News, Saskatoon.
Today is the deadline to make an RRSP contribution for the 2025 tax year. Any contributions made after today will have to be claimed as deductions on a 2026 tax return. The deduction limit for 2025 is 18% of earned income, up to a maximum of roughly $32,000. Strength in the energy sector helped Canada's main stock index climb higher. The TSX gained 201 points. In New York, the Dow lost 73. The Nasdaq added 81. The Canadian dollar fell 1/4 cent today. On commodity markets, gold climbed more than $60 an ounce, and oil jumped more than $4 a barrel. Still ahead, going too far. What's behind a rise in reported gambling problems, particularly among young men? Welcome back. A new study published in the Canadian Medical Association Journal shows a dramatic rise in young men seeking help for problematic online gambling. As Pauline Chan reports, that coincides with the provincial government expanding Ontario's online gambling market.
We were interested in looking at changes in health harms as a result of the various policy changes that happened in Ontario.
Researcher Ryan Forrest looked at the development of Ontario's online gambling formats from a single government-run website in 2015 to legalized single-event sports betting in 2021, and then becoming the only province in Canada to open a privatized market for gambling. There are now more than 80 gaming and betting sites, with $63 billion being wagered on these sites through 2.1 million accounts in 2024. Forrest says the introduction of in-play betting, which can be done even after a game has started, has been particularly harmful.
It allows really rapid, continuous betting during sports events. And research suggests that these sort of fast betting cycles, these constant opportunities to wager, and the real-time, emotional engagement involved in this can really increase impulsive decision-making and make it harder for people to stop.
And looking at the calls for help to the province-wide mental health service, Connects Ontario, shows young males are having significantly more problems than other groups.
We saw that 350% increase in contacts, specifically among young men. So almost all of the increase we saw is coming from this demographic of young men aged 15 to 44.
The legal age for online gambling in Ontario is 19, and the impact can, in some cases, become life-threatening.
At the individual level, it's financial distress, as you said, anxiety and depression, substance use problems, in severe cases, it can be increased risk of self-harm or suicide.
Harms beyond the individual include relationship breakdowns, domestic violence, and more.
Other provinces are going to be wanting to look closely at this.
She says things like stronger limits on advertising, spending limits, and making sure treatment is available and accessible are all important considerations. Pauline Chan, CTV News.
London police are asking for public help finding shoplifting and assault suspects. According to police, two men entered a store near Wellington and Baseline on January 25th. They say they tried to leave with stolen food. Police say shoplifters were confronted by store security and the suspects assaulted the guard, taking his phone. According to police, a woman was waiting for the men outside and she also assaulted the guard. Provincial government officials say they will hold an inquest into the death of a man from Sarnia who was shot and killed by London police. An officer killed 29-year-old Justin Barassa back in October 2021 after police responded to a possible break-in near St. George and Mill Street. Police reportedly stopped Barassa in a parking lot behind Richmond Row. They say Barassa struggled with two officers and managed to put one of them in a chokehold before he was shot in the neck at close range. There was no specific date announced, but inquests are mandatory under provincial law when police kill someone. A new poll suggests a majority of Ontarians don't think provincial politicians should get another pay raise. The Leger survey was commissioned by the Canadian Taxpayers Federation, finding 75% of respondents oppose MPPs getting a pay raise this year, compared to just 12% in favor. Provincial politicians are scheduled to get a roughly 4% pay bump on April 1st. That comes after they voted to give themselves a 35% raise last year, while reinstating annual pay raises whenever federal MPs get an increase. The provincial government is pushing forward with road upgrades and expansions in Northern Ontario.
We want to accelerate the roads up there because it doesn't just bring mining, it brings opportunities for their young people, and that's what we want.
The plan involves completing construction on all-season roads leading to the Ring of Fire region, with shovels expected in the ground this summer and roads opening in 2030. Once completed, the Premier says the roads will connect First Nations communities to Ontario's highway network. Tomorrow on CTV News, animal medications at human pharmacies, the logic behind the initiative and why there's pushback. That's tomorrow on CTV News at 6.
Thank you to Elisa Dodds from Arva for sending this photo in. This is D and C at their grandparents' house having some fun in the snow. The melt will be on as we head through the extended forecast, a day-to-day warming trend. By Friday, we're into the double digits. We have a bit of weather to get through this week with the risk of a rain-snow mix as we head into your Tuesday.
The federal Conservative leader was in the UK today. Pierre Poilievre says he's working on deepening trade and security partnerships between the UK and Canada. He was also scheduled to attend a reception this evening for an international organization promoting closer ties between Canada, Australia, New Zealand and the UK. Poilievre is also expected to stop in Germany later this week. A high-ranking police officer in Thunder Bay has been convicted of obstructing justice. With more on the ruling and its place in that city's years-long battle with corruption allegations, here's Kamil Karamali.
There's a major shift believed to be taking place here in the remote city of Thunder Bay, Ontario. For the first time since recent allegations of corruption began plaguing its police force, an officer has now been found guilty in a court of law.
Finally, some justice is being served here.
Last week, Sergeant Michael Dimony was found guilty of breach of trust and obstruction of justice, the judge calling it militantly illegal police conduct when Dimony entered a home and made edits to a police report in an incident in 2020.
It is vindication to a great extent.
Vindication for the stream of police officers who broke ranks to come forward with allegations of corruption and filed internal and human rights complaints. One of those was Jamie Cunningham, a former records clerk with the police service.
People were targeted for speaking up.
So do you think the guilty verdict of a police sergeant is now enough to create real change within the police service?
It's a pivotal moment because it gives us the opportunity. There's a forward momentum that's occurring with holding police management accountable.
2 years ago, former Thunder Bay Police Chief Sylvie Hott and in-house lawyer Holly Walburn were charged with obstruction of justice.
That's not true. You should apologize.
That led to a blow-up at a press conference after the current police chief vowed change. Today, the chief not ready to apologize to former police officers who filed complaints.
How do I offer an apology when I really don't know what I'm apologizing for?
But doubling down that the work is being done to gain the public's trust back.
That trust is being built. And not only being built, I guess it's being expanded.
Sergeant Michael Dimony remains suspended with pay from the police service. A sentencing date has not been set yet, and his lawyer choosing not to comment to CTV News, while the trial for the former chief and in-house lawyer set to begin next month. Kamil Karamali, CTV News.
RCMP in Alberta say a teenager was killed in a recent avalanche. According to police, two 50-year-old boys were caught in the avalanche in the Kananaskis region Friday. They say one of the boys managed to dig himself out of the snow, but the other did not. Black History Month events wrapped up this weekend with a closing ceremony at Wolf Performance Hall.
Our goal with the closing ceremony is we just want to showcase all the amazing black talent we have here in London, and sometimes they don't have that opportunity to showcase, especially the diversity of these performances. This platform is really important to just get that whole picture of all the different types of talent, black talent right here in London.
The month-long celebration culminated with spoken word and music. It started in early February with a special event at Museum London. Organizers say they want to keep educating Londoners about Black history in the Forest City and southwestern Ontario.
Most people don't realize that we've had a black community in London since the early 1800s. And many of those families are still around in terms of their descendants. The more that people know about it, then the more involved they'll get. And the more that we can learn together. So it's about learning the history, and it's about learning about each other.
The biggest thing is just continuing to keep pushing and letting people know, look, this is the extent of our black history.
London's top stories.
We have breaking news tonight out of Ottawa. The latest in the
breaking news alerts.
I'm tracking an area of severe weather. It'll start.
And watch live.
A development now to a story from City Hall we brought you.
Download the CTV News app.
Welcome back. Millions of Canadians could bear witness to a lunar eclipse overnight. The total eclipse will turn the moon red early tomorrow morning, visible across the country. It's expected to last several hours and requires no special viewing equipment, unlike a solar eclipse. The period of totality, when the moon is completely in the Earth's shadow, will last just short of an hour. And finally tonight, Canadian researchers celebrating the discovery of a so-called ghost galaxy. It's a cosmic phenomenon shrouded in darkness, which the researchers believe may shed some light on some of the universe's persisting mysteries. John Venevalley-Rao reports.
In this NASA video, you can see our own Milky Way galaxy, and in the bottom left, another galaxy that's truly easy to spot. Here's zooming in on Andromeda, which is home to an estimated 1 trillion stars. And galaxies like this, well, there are hundreds of billions in the visible universe. And if that isn't mind-boggling enough, now a Canadian-led team are getting attention because of what you can't see in the middle of this image, a so-called dark or ghost galaxy that's nearly invisible.
For me, I think it's just cool because they are essentially extremely dark, and they're very special compared to like all the other normal galaxies that we know.
Based on research started at the University of Toronto, a team used the Hubble Space Telescope and 2 other powerful instruments, including Europe's Euclid Space Telescope, to look for theoretical and elusive dark galaxies.
This galaxy is super, super hard to detect.
Dark galaxies are believed to be almost entirely made up of dark matter, which doesn't reflect or emit light, and thought to make up about 85% of the mass in our universe.
You and me, you know, we are all made up of normal matter or visible matter. But for dark matter, it's not that, right? And we don't know exactly what it is.
To find a dark galaxy, the researchers located a dark patch deep in space that has 4 ancient clusters of stars, each one looking like this, and normally found orbiting galaxies. The researchers think that's what's happening here, only the galaxy is dark.
We basically want to call anything we don't know dark. But dark matter in this instance is, even though we don't know what it is, we know it's real.
Though some even question that. A reminder there's a lot we don't understand about the cosmos.
The older I get, the more I realize that I really don't know anything.
A dark galaxy shedding light on the mysteries of the universe. John Venevalley-Rao, CTV News, Toronto.
That's it for us. Thanks for watching. For your latest local headlines, you can always head to our website. I'm back tonight with your late news at 11. Bye for now.